Thank you for listening to the Viral Solutions podcast. The title of today's podcast and our subject is The Importance of Branding for Nonprofits. You have put your blood, sweat, and tears into your nonprofit. It isn't a job for you. It's your passion. The truth about exceptional nonprofits is this: they leave a lasting mark. As a person who's worked with nonprofits for 3 decades, we've witnessed the heartache of organizations that do amazing and generous work in this not always philanthropic world, and the recognition that all of you deserve. So why don't they focus on their brand building? These awesome doers of great good. Or focus on their marketing efforts. It's because your focus is on your mission, your story. And that's where it should be. But that doesn't mean there shouldn't be someone dedicated to branding and marketing efforts on your nonprofit team. Now, before we get further into this discussion, let's just clear something up. What's the difference between branding and marketing? Marketing is an action. Branding is a marketing strategy. So marketing is the active promotion of your service, and branding comes before any marketing efforts are developed. Branding is what somebody else thinks of you. Now, at viralsolutions.net, we've got a really good story on all of this, the difference between marketing and branding. But I just felt that should be cleared up first, because we hear a lot of interchangeable terms used, and we just want to make sure those are used right. Because in order to fulfill your mission statement, you got to grow. Simply put, you need donors and supporters who understand who you are and what you do. Those donors need to feel as connected to your mission as you are. Because branding is all about creating donor loyalty. Connecting with your donors while at the same time telling who you are and what you do are the building blocks to branding for nonprofits. Part of branding for nonprofits is setting yourself apart. The truth is that your brand is being created from the very birth of your nonprofit. Whether you know it or not, it's how people will or won't remember you and understand the problem you solve in their world. Many nonprofits struggle to separate themselves from the pack. Other organizations that have similar causes may get more brand awareness simply because they're bigger. It just means they did it all. They did what you need to do. So this is where strategy comes in. In order for branding to work for your nonprofit, it needs to connect with your donors as well as the recipients of your service. Messaging must be cohesive and clear. Just for now, let's put cute and clever on the back burner. So let's start here. I want you to ask yourself this stuff. I'm going to put the question out there. You answer it. What makes, this is what you're saying to yourself, what makes my nonprofit unique compared to others with a similar mission? Here's the next one. What problem does my nonprofit address? Here's the next big one. This is, again, branding. Remember, branding is not your colors and logos and your building. Branding is how someone else feels when they see your organization. Okay? So the question to ask yourself and to answer is, how do I want donors to feel after engaging with my nonprofit? Next question. How will my nonprofit change the lives of those it serves? Answer those. Then you can begin tweaking every part of your messaging so that it's all unified, which will create a recognizable brand. Because this is how branding and messaging are connected. It's way more than a logo. Nonprofits benefit the most from their messaging when there is a central voice with consistent language that runs through every thread of their nonprofit quilt. What does that mean? It means that even though people in your organization have different responsibilities, there should be several messages about who you are and what you do that everyone puts to memory, can repeat when asked, and can even add it to an email subject line and more, that you would say, yeah, that's us. Think of it this way. Each department should be sharing the same vision, have the same goals in mind. I know you hear that all the time. But when you make all of this stuff correctly, you should see that everyone's able to communicate all the goals of the organization very clearly to both people outside the organization, such as potential donors, and inside the organization, like volunteers, co-workers. When consistent language and voice runs through every department, it not only strengthens the team behind the mission, which is a great benefit of cohesive messaging, but it also helps bring clarity to your purpose and scope of impact. Thus, branding. Many times nonprofits spend hours brainstorming designs and names, and that's where they stop. They think that's branding. It's not. The key to branding is to keep it going, because the design and the name and the logo become representative of a feel and become branded because of how people feel. The key to branding is to keep it going. Refer back to the quilt. If you only create half of it, then you can't see the beautiful, full, colorful picture it's intended to be when somebody wraps it around them to warm themselves up and feel comfortable. Designs, names, logos are all part of that scene. But messaging is what helps keep the brand moving. Here's 4 benefits to branding for nonprofits. 1, it makes fundraising a lot more fun. When done well, messaging can drastically improve fundraising efforts. No one can deny that. When you reach your fundraising goals, there's a feeling of relief as well as excitement as to the potential reach and impact. These fundraising efforts are really about partnerships with your donor. Many potential donors look at supporting nonprofits as making investments. If you can describe your nonprofit through branding, the messaging itself helps the prospective donor imagine how your organization will help their own business or brand. Number 2 of the 4 benefits to branding for nonprofits. It truly helps you achieve your mission. Now, as obvious as this might be, it's common to be so focused on the daily to-dos in your nonprofit that branding efforts go out the window. And we've talked about that already. But if there is a structured time or team that is dedicated to messaging and branding, the return on that investment is immeasurable. Almost. From that dedicated time or dedicated team, you can narrow your focus on fundraising efforts by determining who your ideal donors are, what those ideal donors are looking for, and how you can partner with those ideal donors to help them grow as well as further their mission. Because you're going to put your money to work. Number 3 of 4 benefits to branding for nonprofits. It helps create unity in your team. Nonprofits naturally attract passionate people. In fact, we believe it's a requirement. Without passion, there's a lack of purpose. But it's important to understand that passion also invites disunity in a team at times. And it's natural, and it's expected as a nonprofit grows. There are internal benefits of brand development. It creates clear messaging that opens doors for a unified approach for your team. Everything runs smoother, from the daily to-dos to large events. When everyone is on the same page regarding benefits and purpose as they relate to your nonprofit. Point 4 of 4 benefits to branding for nonprofits. It helps create credibility. Sadly, there's some not so credible nonprofits out there. As a result, those who have been involved with such organizations will be hesitant to get involved with yours. So you'll need to understand how to break down the barrier of resistance. A powerful way to do this is to show that you are credible through testimonials from other donors, and ask them if they'd be willing to use your branding language in their testimonial. For example, if an organization's tagline is building better communities, ask donors if they would be willing to use those words somewhere in their testimonials as they explain how your nonprofit has done that through them. Another powerful way to create credibility is to perform market impact reporting. Through video, copy, both. You can ask those who you've served to share how you've helped them create a better life, a better environment, a better home, a better community, a better sense of self-worth. Here's our takeaway on the importance of branding for nonprofits. If there's one thing for you to take away from this, it's to understand that branding for nonprofits is crucial to long-term viability. Now, that doesn't mean you start it a long time from now. It means it takes years of consistent, persistent, branded messaging to make someone feel positive about your organization, therefore building a brand. When done using a strategic approach, it can unite an entire team. It can expand your mission. It can create credibility. Times are changing, but the humanness of us all remains. We want to be able to connect with something or someone. We want to see good in our world. Progressive nonprofits are growing as they connect with donors by creating brand enthusiasts, advocates, and supporters that fulfill the mission. As a result, organizations are being transformed from flying under the radar to lighting up the sky with fireworks. And at viralsolutions.net, we want you to be that nonprofit. We exist because we've got to double your donors. We've got to build you a strong brand. And we're here to keep you up to speed on the ever-changing world of marketing. Thank you for listening to the Viral Solutions podcast. We'll see you next time.